As we mentioned before, Charlie, we didn't play, but we won this weekend because our division laid an egg as a whole. Um, Ravens lost to the Houston 44-10. The Browns lost to Minnesota 21-17, and the Bengals lost to the Detroit Lions 37-24. And none of them looked particularly competitive in either of the games. And so, but let me start first. What is going on in Baltimore? What is going on with that defense? I know they're hurt. That's not an excuse in the NFL anymore. The 49ers are hurt too, and they're 4-1. And they're finding ways to win with backup players. This was an issue when all the players were healthy to start the season, and they were still giving up points. I read it in the news yesterday that they aren't going to make any changes to defensive coordinator. Coach Zach Orr, who used to play in Baltimore, is now the one that's heading up this defense. And obviously he's getting a lot of flack right now with how they're performing. What do you see is their main issue?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. The injuries are part of it, and this is why you have your backups, and these guys play a lot during the preseason to make sure, hey, if they're ever in this role, that they actually can go out there and produce. So you don't
Mhm.
need to go out and look on the outside free agent market to bring some new guys in. That's the disturbing part that was happening. But before the injuries were occurring, they already were giving up a lot of yardage, and right now they're on pace to give up over 600 yards. I'm sorry, 600 points for the
Mhm.
season, which is unheard of when you talk about a Baltimore defense. So, to the point where they're not firing defensive coordinator at this particular point, that part is confusing. I wish I had a better answer as it relates to that, but that's the most shocking part to me, that these guys aren't even getting it done. I thought for sure that they were going to try to slow this game down, play really good defense, and just hand the ball off to Henry and allow Cooper Rush to make the throws that he needs to make. That just didn't happen, and they just got steamrolled from the beginning to end.
So they seem to always have like these brain farts a couple of times throughout the year. Not even talking about moving on from the defense, which is horrible, and they got some issues on that side of the ball. But even offensively, they seem to be really depending on Lamar Jackson too much. You bring in a Derrick Henry who had damn near a 2,000-yard season last year, and he's only averaging like 11 carries a game, if that. And so his production is obviously off. But they're not committed to running the ball, even when the game is close. And so I always wonder what it is with Baltimore, and they did it in the playoffs last year too, where they forget their identity for a second. They have amnesia, and they feel like that they have to do the fastest show on turf, the old Rams offense, and just forget about their quarterback or their running back in Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to the point where you're seeing 8, 9 in the box based off the formations that the Ravens are running. Listen, I know offensive coordinator Todd Monken very well. He actually was my receivers coach at Eastern Michigan, so
Okay.
I've known him over 30 years. He
Mhm.
loves to throw the football, but unfortunately, when you have these injuries that are occurring, guess what? You're now become one dimensional, and every time you're handing the ball off to Henry, 1 yard gain minimum
Mhm.
that you're getting, and it's forcing Cooper Rush to be in those third and long situation, which that offense is not competitive in that particular point if you can get them in third and long situations throughout the entire game. So they have to do better, and we don't know what's going to happen at this particular point. But Cooper Rush is going to have to maybe use his legs a little bit to get them where they need to get to, because unfortunately this offense is everything Lamar Jackson, and if you don't fit that mobility, guess
Mhm.
what? As a quarterback, this offense looks completely different.
Right. Moving over to Cincinnati, they have a quarterback problem. Joe Burrow's gone. Jake Browning, who's shown flashes as a quarterback in past years, does not seem to be getting the job done. And it looks like his confidence is shot. I actually feel sorry for the kid a little bit. Do you think the Bengals need to go ahead and make a splash, save their season, try to trade for a Jameis Winston or Kirk Cousins?
You can make the trade, but then again, what does the expedited learning curve look like for that quarterback if that's not the same verbiage that he once was in? So that's
Mhm.
going to be the challenge by going out there trading for a quarterback. But if, because you throw him in there, he doesn't know the offense, and guess what? Now you're strapped as it relates to what you can do. I don't see a move being made at that particular point, but if it is, it's an anticipation of what's coming down the line 3 or 4 weeks later if you do make that particular trade. So I think they stick with Jake in this case, hoping that he gets better because they have too many weapons on the offensive side to not get those guys the ball.
Yeah, Jamar Chase is on my fantasy team. He was tripping there to start the season. He got a couple of touchdowns towards the end that helped save me. So So that's good. And I don't think it really matters who that quarterback when you got that O line that has not blocked for anybody, and that's why we're in this position as we say right now with Joe Burrow. And so, um, there's an epidemic in general. Not to go off on a tangent, but I had to get this out. There's been an epidemic of just bad O line play all throughout the league. It is insane how some of these offensive lines have been performing up to this far. And so it's not just I'm not just hard on Pittsburgh. It's all over. And that's another story for a different day. I think I know the reason behind it. We've talked about the lack of practice and how O linemen are the one position where everybody needs to be on the same page in order to have success. And so all that goes into it, but that's not something you can fix mid-season.
No, not at all. Not at this particular stage, especially when those padded practices now all start to become shells. And
Right.
if you're all shells, there's not much you could do with the running game that way.
hmm All right. Over in London, the Browns finally made the decision, and we kind of thought it would happen. Dylan Gabriel took over for Joe Flacco, a struggling Joe Flacco. I actually, after watching the game, I thought he handled himself pretty well. There was an obvious game plan not to take too many risks. I don't think a wide receiver got a ball thrown to him until like midway through the third quarter or midway through the second quarter. It was all tight ends to Fannin and Joku and then running back dub off. So it was obvious they wanted to ease him into it, but I thought he handled it pretty well for the most part. Still came out of there with a loss, but I think maybe they see something in him. What about you?
Yeah, they the way that that game plan happened, they were giving him the safe throws, but that's what you want in a rookie quarterback making his first start. Do I see that getting better or expanding? Yeah, absolutely. And again, but for him in that offensive side, now everything shifts because most of the time you're in the right formation. Your left tackle is the most important person. Now all of a sudden you go to a left hand quarterback, your right tackle is the most important person. So these are things that ultimately are going to change. But now that he is the starter, and if he continues to be that way, not wishing injury on anybody, I see that offense getting better and them taking more chances down the field.
I was wondering how they felt when they see Baker Mayfield doing the things he's doing down in Tampa. I'm like, do they feel a little bad? I'm sure there is a little bit of buyer's remorse or seller's remorse, whatever you want to call it, with Baker being down there. But I thought, Dylan, all things considered, the Browns went into the fourth quarter with a lead. And when you have the type of defense that they have, and you have a rookie quarterback starting, you expect that defense to be able to shut down uh, a team that has a backup quarterback, albeit an experienced one in Carson Wentz. But if you take a lead into the fourth quarter and you know that you're working with a deficit with a rookie quarterback and a rookie running back at that too, and just the offense is going to be struggling, you expect your defense to be able to shut them down and come home with the victory if you take a lead into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they have to figure out a way to close out that game. And going like you mentioned, going into the fourth quarter with the lead. These are things that you have to finish, and that's where Miles Garrett made the comments after the game. Dylan did his job. We just
hmm
didn't do ours. So at least they know they don't have to talk about the quarterback situation for another week because of the way that he played.